As an example, a 208 study talks about in 23 of the 60 RFPs examined, we could not determine who was responsible for the acceptance activities. Is that an important part of your process? Do you need to know that for projects? For construction, if you don't make the acceptance call, who does? Or who can? On your design bid build project, who makes your acceptance call in construction? The what? Okay, somebody help me out here. I need an answer. Who is it?
It still falls to the inspector.
Yeah, it still falls to the, yeah, depending upon your delegation out in the field, it falls to the inspector, but ultimately the, I guess let's say the phrase for federal highways, the responsible charge person would probably be the resident engineer here or project engineer, whatever your title is. So that's where the acceptance is normally in the states, that level of their hierarchy of authority. Okay, next is, then it's important to ensure the agency's QA program requirements are clear in the RFP documents. So again, if you want it, you need to put it into procurement materials. Okay, so as far as agency's responsibility, it talks about, well, do you want to talk about it in, as you try to evolve with the concept, the preliminary design. This gets back into whether you have a pre-RFP and want to send it out, shake the trees of industry, see what kind of questions, refine it, move to the next spot, or if you're comfortable enough, you just go ahead and fire out the RFQ, RFP now and see what kind of questions you have. So it's an evolution process, and with you guys trying a few and not knowing where your issues are at or what you're trying to refine, it just gives you a better, a little bit closer to the light at the tunnel to help complete your journey to make it happen for you. So, like pointing out here, you'll need to roll in and make sure you want to establish design criteria and construction criteria standards. So when we talk about design criteria, from your meetings this morning and your tables, from the risk identified, what did a few people mention as far as design criteria? Is that an important issue? Is that a risk? Yes, no? Okay, what kind of risk was mentioned as far as related to design? Pavement design, one area, right? Okay, that's a good one. Any other ones? Still, I'm sorry, still didn't hear you. Okay, let me get it with my right ear. Drainage, oh my God, okay, sorry. Yes, okay, no, that's a good one. Any others? Oh, that's one of my favorites. What about noise walls?
Lack of foundation information.
Lack of foundation information. And that's because your as-built are where?
Got no idea.
That must have been a local worker that had some extra pallets available and built a wall or something, right? Okay. Yeah, as far as noise, just an example why it's important. How many have heard issues with noise walls? Or is that really one of the major issues on that project? As far as noise walls? Yeah, the big thing, like I mentioned you guys yesterday, in Southern California, noise was a hot item to the point the homeowners were going and suing the state because of inverse condemnation, because of noise impacting the sale of their house. In some cases, they won. So on the flip side, yeah, for federal aid projects, you have the reasonable, feasible requirement, and noise walls, noise barriers, depending on what you call them, are a good way to help mitigate that kind of an issue. So, but it is a feature, it is something looks like you got in your project to build, so definitely it needs something to get addressed, because the main thing on projects these days, if you don't make the public happy, what does that mean to your project? Call from the mayor, worst cases the senator and or the governor. I have had those on my projects. Those are not, I quickly direct them to our headquarters public affairs officer, but eventually it come back to you. But those are things hopefully during your environmental process, you float it out there and have somewhat of a reasonable approach to satisfy their concern. Quick comment on the noise walls to mitigate it. from what I heard this morning, as an example, some states, they make the noise walls first item of work on the project, and by doing that, what does that help you do? It helps smooth the risk of the public complaining about you, which means what to a construction staff? You don't have to take as many bare aspirins that day, right? You may have other meds, but that's at least one good one a day if you have heart problems, okay? So everything on noise walls, to mitigate noise, what would you do to mitigate noise? Well, here are some states that put out hay bales to block the noise. They've hung carpet on false work. Another one, they've actually put out metal box containers to block noise. So those are temporary methods that contractors have used on design build projects to maintain the level of noise or help maintain the reduction of noise for those homeowners affected by the new walls and or reconstructed walls. So again, something to think about. Okay? So in the RFP, we want to establish quality assurance requirements, which again, we'll get a little more into details with this module. Select design a builder and award contract based upon maybe some of those criterias, and then perform oversight and acceptance, which after the quality assurance discussion, I'll be doing the next 10, 15 slides. We'll get into more details like we touched on yesterday as far as NCR, RFIs, over-the-shoulder reviews, et cetera, things you'll need to implement once a project breaks ground. Okay, as far as design builder's responsibility, you're trying to pick off an RFP. You wanted them to develop their own control systems. So what kind of statement do you think you'd need to put in your RFP to bring that to the design builder's attention? Anything particular? What if you just say contractor shall have a quality control plan? Is that adequate? No. So the question there is how deep or how much depth do you need to define to them? So again, sort of look at your design build process, try to extract from those your different criteria, guidance, instructions, see how it's working for your different regions, districts, staff, modify accordingly and get it in there. Otherwise, if you leave a conclusionary statement like contractors shall follow their own their own quality control plan, what do you think you'll get?
One sentence quality control.
Yeah, 1 cent quality control plan, which a lot of states, first time around, that's what they got. So what do you think they thought about during the life of the project? Where if they would have just pulled from their regular design build contracts, you've already got a lot of good meat there, beef it up a little bit and be a little more focused and point out who is responsible to do what. So that's sort of the theme of this whole module that I'll be walking you through here on. Okay? So then we'll get the contractor would be completing their preliminary design, moving on from the RFP assuming that they got the award, preparing the final design, then they'll issue their work packages, get out in the field, break the ground, move the ground, bridge, highways, drainage, et cetera, construct the project. But overall, they'll still be implementing quality control of the project, which is for design and construction. And again, it's not just materials.